With me on the line right now, Adam Kokesh from the Adam versus the Man podcast. With me, Jake Counts here. We Are Not Cattle Radio. So, Adam, thanks for joining us just for a few minutes. So, you've got the march coming up on July 4th. Why don't you tell the audience about it, as far as what's going to take place, how the actual event got organized, and what you're hoping to get from this act of civil disobedience.
Well, it's been clear for a long time that this government has no regard whatsoever for the rule of law. There's one way to put them on notice that the people have noticed this, and we are fed up with it. And we're talking about the Constitution in the District of Columbia, the District of Criminals, Murder on the Potomac,
right,
where we have already been threatened with arrest for exercising constitutional rights, where I have a number of times actually been arrested for exercising said constitutional rights. And so on July 4th, 2013, Independence Day, I could think of no better way to celebrate independence than to assert our rights and call them out for what they are. We've already scored a major victory with this event, having revealed that Kathy Lanier, the chief of police for D.C., is an oath breaker, that she cares more about regulations than her oath to the Constitution. I think that's of major significance already, but the plan, as we announced, is quite simple: to rally in Virginia, where open carry is legally recognized, and march across the Memorial Bridge into D.C., around the Capitol, around the Supreme Court, around the White House, and back down Constitution Avenue to peacefully return to Virginia. My advice for the chief of police is that she changes course and decides to give us the escort as we've requested. But this is happening one way or another at this point. And if we end up going up to the line and turning around, that might be the case. If I end up submitting myself to arrest and civil disobedience, that's one possible outcome. But one way or another, we are going to be carefully coordinating with all law enforcement agencies involved, making sure they're held accountable, and the event itself, what physically transpires, will be more choreographed in advance.
Fantastic. Now, do you guys have any of the any police participating, like Oath Keepers? Or are you guys contacted or reached out to them to kind of help sponsor the event with you?
Well, I've actually sat down with Stuart Rhodes just last night. He's here in D.C. for some other business of his, and they're not going to endorse it officially, and it really wouldn't be appropriate because it's not the mission of Oath Keepers to engage in or support civil disobedience like this. They're more about educating and making sure that people don't follow unconstitutional orders through education. You know, we're willing to do it through action, and the people that are stepping up are really excited about that. And a lot of members of Oath Keepers are going to be joining us. We've gotten some great response from individuals within the organization, but that's really what this is all about. We are calling out the usurpers in D.C. for being oath breakers, and we are going to expose them as such.
Absolutely. Now, what's it been like for you over the last 48 hours to see this event get so much traction? I mean, I followed you after the incident you had at what was it, the Lincoln Memorial, Jefferson Memorial, where you danced in silence. That's where I started following you, and you know, it really was galvanizing to me to see somebody make a step like this, because at this point in time in history, with the Benghazi thing going on, with all of this stuff going on around us, as we see the crumbling of the EU, we see what big business or big government can do, and we see what our big government can do. Why do you think it's really important this time in history for this event to make such an impact and to really, basically, like you said, put them on notice and try to see if they're going to tip their hand, as, like you said, the police chief? Are they going to tip their hand? Are they going to be oath breakers? Are they going to revert to this statutory law rather than the actual real law of the land, which is the Constitution? What's it been like for the last 48 hours with you?
Oh man, it's been incredible. Doing interviews nonstop, getting tons of emails, lots of support. There are some people who are frightened by this, and I think it's good. I think it's time to pull people out of their comfort zones a little bit. I've been known to do that from time to time.
But that's what activism is, for the most part, isn't it? Isn't it trying to get people to come out of their comfort zones and to really step out and stand up for what they believe in? Isn't that what we're trying to do, liberty-minded people, whether it's protesting the Fed or what have you? Step out of your comfort zone?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people are saying that this is potentially dangerous. I think the greater danger by far is sitting at home and doing nothing at this point. You know, spending 4th of July getting fat, watching fireworks, and patting yourself on the back for what a great country this is. So I think it's much more important to be doing something significant with our time, and that's what we're going to be doing. Now,
I know you got to go quickly, so I'm going to be really quick. Last 2 questions. How do people get involved in the event?
Just go to facebook.com/Adam versus the Man, and there you can find our events page, or you can go directly to the events page, which is Open Carry March on Washington, hashtag Open Carry 130704. That's 2013, July 4th. And we appreciate everybody spreading the message, staying up to date with what's going on there. And, you know, I had no idea this was going to have the kind of overwhelming support that we've seen. So when we get to the critical mass numbers, you know, there is going to be a point where we can go into the District of Columbia and talk to the police and talk to the various federal agencies and say, this is what we are proposing. What is your response? And see exactly, you know, what kind of posture they take and, you know, what they decide to do. And then we'll have a better plan as to what exactly we are going to do, what the choreography, so to speak, is going to be. And at that point, we'll be able to promote something that's a lot more specific, and we'll be able to do the next steps of taking care of logistics, communicating for people that are coming from out of state, organizing the the exact route of approach, where we want people to park, things of that nature. So all of that's coming, but it's very unusual how this event is coming together, because it is such a unique event. So I think a lot of people realize that, and they understand that this is a process. So stay tuned. There's going to be some important announcements. Although just yesterday, on my podcast, I was able to announce this incredible victory of getting the statement out of Chief of Police Lanier, as well as another officer for the Washington Post, who was challenged by reporters who have picked up on the story. And we today issued our challenge in the podcast to members of the military, if they're going to be oath keepers or oath breakers, what kind of oath keepers they're going to be. And so all that's coming in due time, but stay tuned, AdamVersusTheMan.com for the podcast. We're going to have more announcements coming, and it's really exciting to see how this is developing.
Absolutely, and I'll keep updating all my listeners, too, on my show. You guys can check it out. I'll do posts every week for wearenotcattle.net. And just so everybody in my audience knows what Adam's talking about when he refers to the Chief of Police, I have our actual statement here. And it says, we will make sure that they understand if they want to pass through the District of Columbia with firearms, as long as they're in compliance. Once again, that's what we're trying to do here. It's non-compliance with the firearms laws for transportation of firearms through the district. We're all for it, but by passing through the District of Columbia with loaded firearms, this is a violation of law. It's actually not a violation of law, but whatever. It's a violation of that particular. They draw their little magical line around the city, and as soon as you cross that magical line, drawn by human beings, that's a crime, and we will treat it as such. So, at the very end, in closing, Adam, I had to ask this to you because I know this is a very cheesy question, but it's one that always, near and dear to my heart. If you, Adam Kokesh, can have dinner with any historical figure or anybody living currently, who do you choose to sit down with and why?
Wow, that's a really good question. Oh man, I would because there are a lot of ways you could answer that with self-indulgence. Who would be the funnest or the most interesting. But what would be most valuable to me would be someone that I could convince to do the most good. So I don't know, maybe I'd talk to someone like Peter Thiel, who's who's super rich, who's a legitimate entrepreneur and seems like a good guy. He's said that he's a libertarian, and maybe talk to him about philosophy and how much more value he can contribute to the world by leveraging his fortune to spread the message of liberty. I don't know if he'd be the first target, but something like that I think would be up there for me.
And now for people that don't know, Peter Thiel, is that the gentleman that owns PayPal or began?
PayPal? Yeah. I believe he was the founder. He also had a huge stake in Facebook, so he's definitely got he's definitely in the financial position.
He's definitely got the paper fiat money to help out, right?
Yeah. Well, I hope he's got more than that, and I'm pretty confident he does. So.
And now, you also have an alternative currency that you endorse. Why don't you endorse that really quick, and then I'll let you go because I know you got a plane to catch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. No, it's really important that people live by the values that we're talking about, not just talk about them. And one of the most important ways is to live agorist, to live free, to conduct your economic transactions without paying taxes, without the permission of government. And one of the ways you do that is by not holding Federal Reserve notes, because when you use U.S. dollars, you are paying the inflation tax simply by holding them as they lose value. And we are providing an opportunity with agoristmetals.com, AGORIST, for people to get our new voluntarism silver 1-ounce coin, as well as a host of other metals products that they can use to engage in the barter economy or other things that they think are important and empowering ways to opt out of the currency war. So I'm really grateful that there are so many people that are understanding this, that are getting it and getting out of the paying the inflation tax. And frankly, I don't care how you do it, but for me, it's just really exciting to be now in the business of providing one more way for people to do that.
Absolutely. And did you come up with that design yourself? Because that is really cool with the volunteerism and the snake around it. That is money.
Well, I wish that I could really, I wish I could fully take credit. It was my idea, but I had a lot of help with the design from the great guys at Coins for the Cause.
Well, fantastic. Well, that's it for the time. Adam Kokesh, thanks for joining us on such short notice. And once again, everybody, just like I say every week, get a friend, get informed, and get involved, because that's the way that we're going to make change. Get involved with Adam Kokesh on July 4th. I'll be there covering the event. I won't be participating, but I'll be there covering it as media. So, Adam, I salute you, and I don't mean to offend any active duty military by saying that, but it's a virtual salute to you, because you are really, walking the walk and talking the talk. You are really, walking the walk and talking the talk. So I appreciate the time, bud.
Thanks so much, Jake.